Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is I, your friendly neighborhood Tony, and today we have a very special review for all of you. That's right, this is our very first viewer choice review, and as such, we are going to be going over a movie requested by a gentleman by the name of Gunnel, and that is the 2001 movie O, also known as Othello. Before we get started with the review, I want to, one, thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. If you have movies that you'd like to request for me to review, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I can't promise that I'm going to get to them all, but I will do my best to at least check them out or reply to your comment to let you know if I've seen them. Secondly, I want to let you know I am right now in the middle of COVID. That's right, the Rona got your boy. So excuse me if I'm a little bit slow or if I have some brain fog. It's been a rough few days, but I'm hoping to come out on the other side pretty soon. As I always do, I've got my notes here. Let's get right into it. The first thing I want to say, the movie that we're talking about came out in 2001, and it turns out, I don't know why, but there are two different Othello movies that both came out in 2001. And they are both kind of modern retellings of them. The one that we're talking about today is the American version. There is another that was made for British television that actually has Christopher Eccleston, who is one of the doctors from Doctor Who. So I watched both of them because I was a bit confused and picked the wrong one first. But this review is primarily going to be about the American version of Othello, or just known as O, which is probably the worst possible movie name that you could think of. Just a letter. How am I supposed to search a letter? Like, just Google O. Do you know how many millions of hits you're going to get? But I digress. That's neither here nor there. Either way, let's get into it. Now, if you're not very familiar with the story of Othello, it is one of William Shakespeare's works. So this is based loosely off of that. It follows some of the major story beats, but they've really modernized it. The modern script is written by Brad Kaya, who I hadn't really seen much of anything else that he worked on other than being a writer for Mad TV for a few years. So he's got some experience there in television, but I think this is probably the biggest movie that he ever did the screenplay for. It was directed by Tim Blake Nelson, who is primarily known as an actor. He has been in a ton of movies. You see him all over the place. He's kind of a character actor. You might know him from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I think I recognized him from The Incredible Hulk. So he's just been in a ton of stuff over the years, and this is one of the few movies that he himself was able to direct, and I think he did a pretty good job considering. Now here's one of my favorite parts. It's where we get into who is actually in the movie. So again, this came out in 2001, so take yourself back to then. Think about who was popular at the time, female lead character in a movie about young people. Who is it? That's right, Julia Stiles is the lead female in the story. You also have the main character who plays Othello himself, which is Mekhi Phifer. Additionally, you have Josh Hartnett, who plays kind of the bad guy in the movie. The way they kind of spin this movie into a more modern retelling is basically that Mekhi Phifer, his character is a star basketball player on this private school basketball team. You also have Josh Hartnett, who is kind of his best friend and the son of the basketball coach, and he is what you might call a utility player. He's pretty good everywhere, but he's not really the star of the team. And as such, he becomes a bit jealous of Mekhi Phifer. And then, of course, you have Julia Stiles, who is Mekhi Phifer's girlfriend in the movie. She is actually the daughter of the dean. And when you think about it, it's kind of funny that in 2001 specifically, Julia Stiles played this kind of middle-class white girl who falls in love with this like dangerous black guy in two different movies in the same year. You have the Othello movie, and then you have another movie, Save the Last Dance. They both came out at the same time, same year, both with Julia Stiles, both with the same kind of like, oh, she's dating this guy that's so different than her because she's white and he's black. And it's like, I understand that at a time it was important to like kind of tell these stories to be like, hey, look, we can, you know, be racially diverse and like date outside of our own kind. But it's kind of weird that it felt almost like a formula that they had with her at this particular time. So much so that literally she had two movies in the same year that revolved around the same kind of concept. I thought that was a bit strange. That kind of like triggered something in my brain that I'm like, why did they keep doing that with her? That's weird. Although the original play of Othello does have a lot of things to say about racism. Othello himself was black in the play. He was, I think they called them Moors at the time in Spain. I want to say, was it Spain? I don't know. I'm really bad with Shakespeare. But there was like a racial part to the story, and specifically with racism and with him being as successful as he was in a predominantly non-black environment. And so they kind of touch on that in this movie, but not nearly as much as I felt they did in the play or in the other movie that I mentioned that was the British version. That one was much, much more about racism. Now, in addition to the main three that are starring in this movie, you have a few other cast members that I always like to draw attention to, these kind of background characters or secondary characters that you may recognize from other movies. So I've got them written down here. For one, you have Martin Sheen, who is one of the main characters. He plays the basketball coach. You have him there. You also have Andrew Keegan, who you may know from 10 Things I Hate About You, or you might know from being a cult leader, which apparently he turned into as he got older, but hey, I don't know, whatever works. You also have Eldon Henson, who I didn't know the name, but I immediately recognized the face. He plays Foggy in the Daredevil series. He was also in a ton of stuff, especially back in the early 2000s. He was in Idle Hands. He played the guy who was Seth Green's kind of friend who had his head cut off. He's also in the Mighty Ducks. Growing up, he was one of the kids in the Mighty Ducks, which is awesome. So he's been in a ton of stuff. You also have John Hurd, who plays Julia Stiles' dad, which is the kind of dean of the school. And he, of course, is Mr. McAllister from Home Alone, and, well, from the Home Alone series. So it's kind of cool to see these actors and actresses that you recognize from other places pop up in the movie. And they all do a pretty good job. Although the movie does still have the vibes that you get from a late 90s, early 2000s teen kind of edgy movie, it is overall done pretty well. I think the writing is good for the most part. There are a few things that you'll have the characters say that I'm just like, why would you say that? That kind of takes you out of it. And there were a few cinematography choices, some camera movement, things like that I felt were a bit dated, especially. But overall, they had really strong source material to pull from, and I think that the way that they modernized it made a lot of sense, especially for the time, and I think it was really well done. It was certainly well acted. I think everyone pulled their weight, especially Mekhi Phifer and Julia Stiles, and honestly, Josh Hartnett. You know, look, I like Josh Hartnett. I think he seems like a nice guy, and I enjoy a lot of the stuff I see him in, but let's not get it twisted. He, I feel, acts within a very specific range, and he doesn't often step out of that range. He usually keeps it very close to the vest, very calm, very, you know, he's kind of just, he's the pretty boy, right? That's kind of what he does, and he does it well. And I think in this movie, he played a little more deep of a character. He had a little more depth to his character. His character was, of course, jealous of Othello and was trying to orchestrate how to bring him down. And I think he was able to remain subtle, but enough to where you can, one, feel for his character and understand why he's doing what he's doing. And then two, actually believe that his character is capable of pulling off some of the schemes that he pulls off in the movie. So I think, honestly, everyone did a pretty good job overall as far as the acting and overall as far as the directing, save for a few moments that kind of took me out of it a little bit. And speaking of little things that kind of took me out of the movie as I was watching it, the first thing that jumped out to me towards, I think it's like one of the opening scenes where Mekhi Phifer is having a conversation with Josh Hartnett, or I think it was just after that, and Josh Hartnett mentions that he's a senior and that Mekhi Phifer is a sophomore. Okay, 2001, Mekhi Phifer was in his mid to late 20s, and he looked like he was in his mid to late 20s. That man was not a sophomore. I can assure you that. So that was kind of like one of those silly things where it's like, oh my gosh, dude, you are so far from being a 16-year-old. Like, that's ridiculous. So that took me out of it a little bit, but you kind of let it go and just enjoy the story for what it is and ignore that. Then, of course, I do feel that the movie used certain things, and I'm going to try not to spoil anything, but they used certain things, certain scenes, certain actions to be more edgy than it needed to be, really. Now, granted, it is an edgy story. If you look back and read the actual story of Othello, a lot of really adult things occur in that story. But there were a few additional things that they threw into this one that I just felt weren't really necessary. They didn't affect how the story developed or really make a difference. It was just kind of throwing in adult content for the sake of getting the rated R rating, I suppose. But again, overall, I thought the movie was really well done. There is one other little nitpick, and this is me just trolling, but please, please, for the love of God, stop letting Julia Stiles dance, okay? This is a serious problem. And I know I'm 20 years late. This movie came out in 2001. Save the Last Dance came out in 2001. But who is the person that told her she could dance? I'm being mean. I'm sorry. I'm sure she is classically trained, but it's just funny to see her in all these movies doing like this hip hop dancing. And it's just like, ooh, that is, as a person who cannot dance, let me say, there are a lot of similarities between her and I when I watch some of these movies. I'm just messing around. Overall, really good movie. I really enjoyed it. My girlfriend really enjoyed it. Again, we watched both of the Othello movies, and I think this one was noticeably the better one. Although I did like seeing Christopher Eccleston in the British version of Othello. He was really good. And so was the other guy who played Othello. I forget his name, but they were good. I just feel like this was a more entertaining movie overall to watch. So really enjoyed it. Shout out to Gunnel. Thank you so much for the recommendation. I hope that I didn't miss anything that you wanted me to go over in the review. And again, guys, right now, I don't have a lot of people subscribed to this channel. So if you have movies that you want to recommend, this is the time to get them in. Let me know in the comments below if there are movies that you would like me to review. I cannot promise that I will review them all. I want to make that very clear, but I can promise that I read every comment and I try to reply to all of them. So if you want to recommend something in the comments, please do. I will do my best to reply to you. And if it's a movie that I plan on reviewing, I will be sure to let you know and give you a shout out. So thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And that's going to wrap us up here. Thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate you. I hope to see you in the next one. Be good.